وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا.
Okay, this Hajj discussion is a comprehensive one. Again, we cannot cover that in 1.5 or 2 hours, but general rituals are very short. It's 20 minutes discussion. General rituals are very short, it's 20 minutes discussion, and nothing to be scared about as long as you follow them in a simple manner. If you make Hajj by yourself and nobody in the world, that's a 15 minutes discussion, over with. Checklist, done. Because these are rituals. But you're going to do it 2 million people, so things won't work out the way we intended to so. They may get some problems, and we have to discuss all the details. This discussion is composed of some of the shuyukh who wrote discussion on, including Sheikh Albani, Sheikh Ibn Baz, Sheikh Salih ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, and Sheikh Yahtani. He's the one authored the book, including Sheikh Ibn Jibreel, rahimahullah. Jamia, until all of the Sheikh from the top passed away. And why so? It is important to understand when we discuss religious matters. Look at the bottom, a disclaimer. An issue of religious fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, is a legal discussion in which we are going to have differences of opinion. Depends how different they are. So we respect the opinion of others while you stick to one for the time being. Why it is important to understand this? Those who really into the deen up to a certain level, because you see other people doing things different and you don't blame them for that. You don't nail people, blast them out, because you need to understand some things are broad in scope. They are not so limited. So we have to be respectful to others and views of others while we follow one of them which appears to be strongest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we really can't say for absolute surety that this is the one, but this appears to be the strongest one. If anybody says otherwise, I don't know what their basis is. Except Allah is one, the Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. Everything else subject to further discussion. Right? So we understand that. So be respectful to others while we follow our task, inshallah. Fine. Now discussion with, is it too loud? Okay. Okay. Before anything else, any act of ibadah, which includes the Hajj, require some basic element in there. One of them, it has to be done for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is not done for Allah, we just wasted the time and the money and burned some calories. Nothing else come out of it. Perhaps there could be sin, that's another discussion. So therefore, any act of worship, including Hajj, has to be sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is also discussed in the time of Ihram, that this Ihram you take for the pleasure of Allah to make Hajj. In this, there's no showing off, not seeking reputation for people. So this is important to understand, that otherwise the Hajj will be lost, and it is in the heart of the people, so nobody can speak in this regard except the person themselves. Right, the next point, every action and ibadah has to be followed by the Sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, whoever doesn't follow the way the Prophet said will not be accepted. Please note, it doesn't mean what the Prophet did, you have to do every single thing. It doesn't mean that. Whatever is a command has to be complied with. Whatever is encouragement and advice, we should try to do it, that you don't have to do it. So when I discuss this legal stuff, I'm going to say a few things. One of them, that I must do or I should do. Must implies that you have to do it, otherwise either the Hajj is battle or you have to give some penalty for it. When I say you should do it, that means it's an encouragement that you good to do, you get a lot of blessings for it. If you don't do it, it's perfectly fine. Right? What is the problem why I'm saying all this, even though this side topic? If anybody start deening, as they say in English, deening in new stuff, and they get so excited and excited, they start nailing other people just because they agree with their view. And I study a lot of fiqh, alhamdulillah, so I understand that it is a problem with many people. They get too excited and nail other people not calling them not following Kitab al-Sunnah. It's not always the case. So we've got to be patient and respectful for others. Inshallah, next point, following the Sunnah. Without going into details, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرُّسُولُ فَأْخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's messenger brings to you, take it. Whatever he said, do not do it, you do not do it. This is the general command. And there's many ayat follows that. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ati'u Allah, ati'u Rasul, be obedient to Allah and His Prophet. You cannot be obedient to Allah without saying the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is in the Quran. And Quran is literal things, right? Difficult to understand how to do things like praying. Therefore, here the Prophet comes into the discussion. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he shows you how to pray. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to translate and explain, set an example of the Quran. Therefore, we are to obey the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then there is many ayat. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu istajibu lillahi wa lirrasuli idha da'akum. When Allah and His Prophet calls upon you, you should respond to the call. So simply say many ayat in the Quran that we have to be complying with Allah and His Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So another ayat after that, وَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whenever you differ in certain matters, you refer back to Allah and His Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Now, somebody can ask, if there is a hadith there, I just read it, and why don't I do it myself? Why need all the other people to be asking? Correct? There is not only 6,000 hadith or 60,000 of them, there's way more than that. And in one topic, they could be scattered in many different books. Unless you know how to gather all the hadith, text into one place, and know how to analyze them, yes, then you are mujtahid, you can decide yourself. So it is not simple to have a hadith in the hand, because the context of the hadith, the scope of it, and application, and its limitations, to understand for this very discussion is important. And that requires to understand the usul, the principles of deriving Islamic legislation. This is way up. In English terms, it is mainly for young generation. English term, you can call it a constitutional scholar. If not everybody is a constitutional scholar who can understand the fundamental of the Constitution, the intention of the founding fathers. So this, what it applies, the rulings. So everybody cannot look at text. Just because I found something in Bukhari doesn't mean I can apply it. It's more details involved in there. This is one of the problems. Many people get misled, perhaps misguided, doing things. They become scholars themselves. To make a side note, just because you can read English and read a medical book, it doesn't make you a medical doctor. Just because you can read certain books and read some Arabic and read some Hadith book, doesn't make you. I mean, you have to go to a law school for that. This is Islamic legal matters. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to understand. Now, many people ask me, especially young generation who are born and raised, they ask me this, why am I going to do some rituals which really don't find no meaning to it? Why should I travel somewhere and stay in the middle of nowhere, throw some pebbles, and shake my head and come home? I mean, come on. I mean, I'm going to spend all this money to do this. What is the reason behind it? It doesn't make sense. But those who are born Muslim, I mean, come from Muslim country, they probably don't have the courage, perhaps, to ask like that because they worry about the social pressure. But in this town, this generation is asking wild stuff. Some Muslim-born child from Bangladesh family asked me, prove me to Allah exists. Forget about prayer. Forget about Hajj. Forget about zakat. Doesn't believe in Allah. So they ask these things. I mean, why am I going to do this? You do it because that's how you grew up. I didn't grow up this way. Why should I be doing that? I'm going to prove certain points before I go to the rituals, which you heard already, some of them. First of all, rituals are important. Excuse me. Okay, rituals revolve around human welfare. If that is understood, then we understand why you do things. Every ritual in this religion revolves around global benefit, human welfare, the maslahah, the benefit. Now, whether I understand it or not, that's another topic. And I'm going to next points why we need to do the rituals, what are the benefits behind it. Some logics behind it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, why his ritual matters? Because he is the creator. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Am khulqi min ghayri shay'in, am humul khaliqun. Are you created without anything? Or you are a creator yourself? None of the above is true. If that is not true, a created being in a weaker or lower position than the creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun. This is Surah Al-Baqarah verse 216. That Allah knows that you don't know. Therefore, a person with higher knowledge dictate to somebody lower knowledge. You said, where I get that from? You may ask me where I get that from. Once you go to a medical doctor, difference between a patient and a doctor, or a lawyer and a client, is the knowledge aspect of it. Doctor knows you don't know, that's why you beg the person to explain my blood report. How much insulin should I take? Go to a lawyer, I'm in a legal jam. What do I do? You can read English also. Read the book yourself. That's not enough. You need expertise, more knowledge and experience, which a lawyer has. So knowledge takes the person in a higher level. And Allah is above all the knowledge. And He said, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. If you are given any knowledge, that's very little, if you're given. So therefore, our limit, we know, and Allah has no limit, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, He is in a position to tell us what to do, because He is the creator. Now, if somebody is atheist, my discussion has to continue in a different angle, and which is not the platform for this. Now, this religion is about ease. Allah wants ease. I only put the English. There's no point putting the Arabic. The first in Surah Baqarah, verse 185, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah intend ease for you. He doesn't want hardship for you. If you know the ayat of Ramadan, Allah says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants ease for you, doesn't want difficulty. Please note this. Allah doesn't want difficulty. This is a statement from Allah, His kalam. He is saying, I don't want it to be difficult for you. But as you can see, Hajj is a difficult task. So therefore, this implies this limited difficulty brings permanent ease in their judgment. So this is a difficulty, but it brings ease in a major difficulty. You understand? Let me give you a comparative understanding quickly. Somebody has gangrene on their foot, right? Like doctor says, if you don't chop off that part, rest of the body will be gone. So lesser of the two evil, let me get rid of my toe so I can save my leg. So nobody said that I hate my toe, but to save the rest of the body, I need to give something up. So this little sacrifice leads to greater ease. That's what Allah wants, and this is one of the objectives of this religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهَ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. Allah doesn't give a burden upon somebody which they can bear. So whatever is upon us, we should be capable of doing it. And if we cannot do it, Sharia has relaxation for this case. Anytime there's a problem, the relaxation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Fear Allah وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you can. So if you can do something, you're sick, you're limited, Allah made it easy for you. This deen is not about whipping. It's not about that. It is about caring and loving with some price along with that. So the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, anytime Prophet ﷺ was given two options to do something, he always chose the less easier of the two, as long as it's halal to do. Easier of the two. Make life easy, not difficult. Fine. Next, Allah legislated for human welfare. These are the few things this deen came to protect. Some of the ulama say 5, honor is the 6th one added. These are the things this religion came, or daruriyat, the basic necessities to be protected by this religion, which is the faith, come first. Without that, everything is lost. This deen, sharia of this deen, and Allah says, shara'a lakum min ad-deen. The deen been prescribed, the legislation been given for an objective to protect 6 things, some ulama say 5 things. One of them is the religion of people, the deen. Next is the life, the intellect of the people, and the wealth of the people, and the lineage, as well as the honor of the person. This is in the Quran. This deen came to protect these 6 things. Every legislation is part of it. So the Hajj is here. Hajj is here. Protection of life, qisas, is this. And issue of intelligence. For example, you can't drink wine because that dilutes the mind. Why not? It destroys the aql, intellect. So on and so forth. This is issue of maqasid, which we cannot talk here. But these are the things religion came to protect. So anything in this deen we do, it leads to protection of one of the 6, in some way or other. Right. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Surah Al-An'am, Surah number 6, verse 151 to 153. These are the things this religion came to protect. And you can go through it. Do not make shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not do immoral things. Do not kill, which is illegal to do so. And Allah said, so you may reason. This is the aql, intelligence. Then He said, Allah said, do not approach the wealth of the orphan, not consuming the wealth. So Sharia of this deen revolves around this thing. That's a different discussion, but I'm showing you There's every religious rituals leads to some benefit, whether we understand or not. Now, next point. These are called Qawaid al-Kulliya al-Fiqhiyya. So the 5 universal maxim of Islamic legislation. 5 fundamental ruling. If I ask the young people, those who know, anybody know the Second Amendment in the Constitution? Anybody know? Firearms, yes. But you know there's a debate in the court in Washington, D.C. a few years back in the Supreme Court. There's a case. In the Constitution said citizens have right to bear arms. The Second Amendment in the Constitution, ratified 200 plus years ago. But still they're fighting in the court. What is the intention of the founding fathers? This is called maqasid, the intentions. Laws have letters in there. Do not cross the red line. These are legal terms, letters of the law. And laws has spirit behind it. The intention, the maqasid. So Islamic legislation has maqasid. Everything has the intention behind it. So intention, without going into details, starting the first one, said, first principle, al-umur bi-maqasidiha. Every action is judged, looked at by the intention, and in case the intention of the lawgiver. So we look at the rituals within the objectives given by the lawgiver, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But, so without going into difficulties, the next point I will talk about, this is another, it's called qaida. These are the legal principles in which it says, al-mushakkatu tajlibu taysir. Anytime difficulty comes, that facilitates ease. Somebody's sick, don't have to fast. You travel, you don't have to fast. These are from the basic principles, legal maxims of this religion. You can call it the Constitution. Right? Now next come ad-darar yuzal. That implies any harm there is, that must be stopped. That must be repelled. So somebody doing Hajj falls sick, right? And he said, I'm going to still walk in the Jamarat, and falls, and people walk over them, the person kills themselves. This is not allowed. If you can do something, you're not responsible to do it. You're not mukallaf. You're not responsible as long as responsibility is not extended to it, which I'm going to talk about later. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Whoever is capable to do so. The capacity is a requirement for something to be wajib on certain persons. Therefore, if the capacity is absent, then you force yourself to do it, then you indulging in harming yourself. Allah says, لَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourself. Therefore, this is the 4th principle. I'm skipping the second one. It's not relevant to our discussion. So what is the point here? This religion, this deen is easy. It wants ease. It is for the people. It is not against the people. So any young people looks at this difficulty in the religion, it is not. So I have to touch base with the sisters. Young generation has a different perspective. Like grandmothers and mothers don't have the same perspective. They live in 2 different generations and 2 different countries. Not only generation, it makes a lot of difference. Why so? Young sister looks at it, I want to dress like this, I want to look cool. Right? I want to look nice. I want to look attractive. I want everybody looking at me. That's a bad intention, by the way. But having said that, what's wrong? I want to be, I want to look nice. I want to enjoy myself. Why is Islam so restrictive? But Islam looks at the global benefit of the society. Entire human family has to benefit from. So Islam gives some rules and regulations, including the hijab, to save the society from immorality. You may, as a one person, don't see the big picture. But if you step back, look at the whole society, and you see which way it's heading to, and you can see the reason behind Allah's rules and regulations. If I don't know, at least for sure Allah knows. So I still comply with His command. That's the message. Fine. Next point. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to come to the bottom. All rituals revolve around the framework of human welfare. That's the point. And it is success in both lives. Following Allah and His Prophet has benefit in this life as well. I don't want to go into details. Zakah benefits the poor. The right to go to the court, Muslim court, for a weak person against the Amir al-Mu'mineen is give justice to the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Your love or hate for somebody, do not let you to be unjust with people, even though you don't like somebody. Right? So this framework delivers justice. And this is the framework of this religion. It's all about justice. So sister may think, in hot weather I have to wear hijab, that's difficult. But it's part of Allah's justice. You see the big picture down the line, inshallah. So these are the qawaid. We don't need that. Now, the rituals in the matter of worship, which is required to be followed without adding and deleting from it. I can't add anything. But from the sunan, I can delete if I don't want to do it. I should do it, but if I cannot afford to do it, whatever reason, I can delete them if they're from the sunan, traditions of the Prophet ﷺ, if they're not an obligation. So, the vocabulary I use throughout the discussion, a must and should. Must mean you have to do it, and should means you should do it, but if you can, it's okay not to do it. Another thing I like to also say about Hajj, what you were discussing in an air-conditioned room here, and I was sitting down in a cool environment with few people. Let us understand the context of Hajj. It is more than 2 million people trying to do exact same thing within the same time. So all this fancy thing I may tell you, you and me will do none of them. Period. Regardless how healthy, strong you are, you have no chance. Right? So we talk about academic discussion for academic purpose, and I'm zoomed through it, but still, you need to know that most of the things we are good doing. And Aisha radiallahu anha one time was asked about certain religious ruling, without going into details, so why shouldn't we be doing this? So Aisha radiallahu anha said, in the matters of religious rulings, we don't ask why, we only ask how to do it. We don't challenge it, because fine details at the background, in the mind of the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't understand it. And obvious, some of the things, common sense, zakah benefits the poor. I understand that. But is that all? Definitely not. So I do not try to reason with that, and that cannot be a basis of compliance. But that could be an academic study, yes. But that can be a basis of compliance. I listen to Allah and His Prophet, whatever they say, how funny and weird it may sound, but I comply with it because Allah knows and I don't know. Next point, Hajj rituals, why they are. Hajj rituals are established for the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the key element. Why do I go to Hajj? Throw pebbles and walk around the places and go through all the headaches. Why so? Because this is established for the remembrance of Allah. And Allah said, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." Is it not verily the remembrance of Allah gives peace in the heart? Isn't that so? Yes, it is. Therefore, this is one of them will lead to the peace. And next point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Remember Allah in a continuous manner, so you could be successful. Now, many ibadah has a continuous remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but nothing like Hajj. Hajj, the moment you're in ihram, you took a different lifestyle. Your act of ibadah continues until you stop it. You go to Arafah, Mina, Muzdalifah, and back to this and that. That 3-4 days in a continuously busy with ibadah. Whether you read the talbiyah or not, that's a different topic, which you should. But regardless, even though you don't do it, you travel thousands of miles, wearing different clothing, living somewhere else, doing certain things. This in itself is a remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever does so, ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Your heart find peace. Many people, sports people or in the movie industry, millions of dollars in the pocket, still into drugs, still into pills, can't sleep at night. Because peace is not synonymous with money. It's two different ballgames. Money helps, but doesn't guarantee peace. But for sure, obedience to Allah guarantees peace. There is no ifs, ands, or buts in there. That's for sure. So whoever is obedient to Allah, whether they understand or not, as long as this is law from Allah and His Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the person definitely in peace. The person suffering cancer, I saw a patient with cancer, rahimahullah. And he said, Alhamdulillah, this is qadr of Allah. At least I have time to make tawbah to Allah. I see peace in his face. The person is suffering in cancer. I spoke to him. And person, rahimahullah, he said, Allah gave me time, everybody got to go. At least Allah gave me advance notice. I can make a lot of tawbah, istighfar, a lot of good deeds. A person understands their religion. They look at things in different perspective. So this is understanding Allah and His Prophet. It's not all about rituals. Rituals we have to do, but understanding behind it is more important than that. Why do I have to follow the sunnah? Beside all the evidence I gave you before, this is an explicit evidence. Ani Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, khudhu anni manasikakum. Take from me, this is for an amr, this is a command in plural, that take from me the rituals of Hajj. Does it mean everything the Prophet do I have to do? Do I have to ride a camel? The answer is no. So we have to know where to differentiate what is a must to do, what it should be done. Again, a note. Some of the matters in my discussion here have question marks. I didn't put in all of them. If you study fiqh, you find many differences. I put some of the major different points, some question marks, saying, this is what I'm saying. Some of the scholars say something else also. Now, somebody new to this stuff, they may say, Islam is a philosophy, like everybody do what they want to do. That is not true. But some of the text arrives to you, and the understanding could differ from person to person. If I say just now, it is a side topic, but I enjoy fiqh. So if I tell you, let's go. What do you understand by this? If I say let's go, that means you mean you have to go, or I'm saying we should go. What do you understand by that? Given the context. So you don't know we have to go or we should go. It's advice, this is a command. Sometimes it's not that easy to understand. This is not kindergarten stuff. It's way above that. So it is possible some of the scholars look at the text and evidence and explain in certain ways based on the language, the context, and the scope of it. And any text has many other things. Nasikh and mansukh. Some text is a mutlaq, it's wide open. Some are restricted, muqayyad. There's many different details in legal aspect of it. So this is not just open Bukhari with 6,000 hadiths and you think all you know. That is not the way to do it. So just to tell you there will be differences. That's how this ummah functioned for 1400 years. And Hajj is not a new thing. It's not a banking system. It is not an aircraft we had just built it last year. It's not that. It's been practiced for 1400 years. It's quite simple. But when you go to details, everything becomes complex. Fine. Discussion framework, how we discuss, we say what is best to do, what is minimum to do. Best required prayer versus minimum requirement. Right? Legal limits of rituals. What you have to do within a certain time, we have to talk about if you don't do what the consequences of that. Any bid'ah associated with that, we're going to talk about it. Inshallah, we should always try to follow the sunnah. Do not shortcut the sunnah. We shouldn't escape them. We should always try to do the sunnah. If possible, always. But if you can, it's difficulty, you can skip it. Okay? So what is Hajj? We know what is Hajj. I don't need to talk about it. It's a pillar of religion. It means aiming for something which is associated with certain ritualistic activities, which is, we know from doing, as you heard a few minutes ago, these are the part of the rituals of Hajj. And this is a picture I got from online. I did not read line by line. I was very busy, and it still is, until mid-August. So this gives an overview, which you already know. So first of all, you do ihram from the miqat, from the mawaqit, from any of them. Then after that, if you do tamattu, which most likely is the case, and which is better to do, you'll be doing tawaf and sa'i. That's you're going to complete. Then you get rid of the ihram and do whatever you want to do. Then you start back again on the 8th of Dhul-Hijjah and restart the process. Then you go to Mina. Then after that, in the morning, you go to Arafah next day. Then stay there whole day until Maghrib. Then you go to Muzdalifah. Next morning, come back again to Mina. Then do stoning. Then you do, what do you call this? Sacrifice, shaving the head. You talk ifadah, then come back. Right? These are the part of the rituals. You continue. And you heard about this. We'll talk about the details. But this simply shows the entire process. Where you start, where you go when you come back. Now, can I tell you this? This is a picture. When I made Hajj in 1993. A lot of things changed. Since I went to, the year I went to Hajj in 93, the same year I went for Umrah in Ramadan, 1993. And I went to Arafah and Muzdalifah to see them. I drive around to see it, how it is in open land back in days. The day, after a few months, I came back for Hajj. You don't know the place anymore. If you tell me go straight, where? Too many people. This road, there is no road because so many people. So it is not easy. In a map, it's fine. But in reality, it's extremely difficult to navigate your way out. So therefore, always sticking to the group, and the person who knows the way is sticking to them. If it not allows you to do certain sunnah, it's better to do so, otherwise there will be more problem than good. Fine. Now I want to talk about the big picture of Hajj. What is the essence of Hajj? Essence of Hajj is declare Tawheed. Oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As you start, you said, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. That's important. This is message of Tawheed in Hajj, embedded in there. And when you say Allah has no partner, in terms of, for example, legislation, Allah tells you to give zakah, that means you give zakah. We don't do rituals, we understand the message behind it. You cannot be a computer programmer without understanding what you type. If you can't do Hajj, you can be a Muslim, understand, without understanding what you do and why you do it for. So one of the things is declare Tawheed. Like you say that there's no ilah but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you really believe that Allah is the Lord, when He commands other things, you do it. Allah said, don't do it, you don't do that. In Hajj and in home, both cases. That shows you really complying with the message of La ilaha illallah. Next point, you get forgiveness, those who make Hajj. Unity of the Muslim Ummah. You look around, see 2 million people, similar garments, everybody's simple. That tells you the broadest scope of the religion. Then is sabr, patience, like Ramadan. Hajj is the only ibadah where, like zakah, you need money. Like fasting, you need help. Like salah, you need health. You have to do that. And you need patience like Ramadan. Salah could be done in a place, in different time. But Hajj is an ibadah that requires time and space limitations. You have to be in certain place, in certain time. Fasting in certain time. Salah certain time, not in certain place. But Hajj requires certain time and place, do things in certain manner. This is an exclusive form of ibadah. And that's why it has a lot of benefit. Hajj shows humility to the people. Hajj reminds you about death. The garment, the white one you wear, the showering garment. That reminds you of that. It is submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hajj reminds you of Day of Judgment. Yawm Arafah. You see tons of people gathered in one place, only one purpose, asking Allah's forgiveness. That reminds you, you're all waiting to be judged. If you can think that way, that benefits people. That I get something out of it except blessings. If blessing comes with that, I need more than that. Okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُعَذِّمْ شَاعِرِ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever respects the symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, verily this is a manifestation of taqwa and piety in the heart of the people. So if I respect something without understanding and knowing it, like why should I be doing that? I respect the command of Allah. And Allah knows I don't. Now can I take a side note? Because young people ask me these things and my thought is geared to that direction. Right? Some people ask me, why should I be doing it? Somebody asks me something weird and why should I be doing it? I said, when your doctor tells you, you take Lipitor 10 milligram, you ask, why should I be doing it? To lower your LDL. Then you said, how does it work? He said, you are not a doctor, you don't understand. So you don't understand the details. You don't ask that detail to the doctor. Really, a patient asks the fine details how the medication works. You don't go to the pharmacist, ask fine details, chemical composition of this and how it affects me. You rarely ask, you just take Bismillah without asking. Doctors say X-ray, why? Now, I'm a person who asks. I dialogue with the doctor. Why are you telling me this? What are the precautions I have to take? What are the pros and cons? What if I don't do it? I ask. I need to know fine details. You don't ask. But when Allah tells somebody, everybody becomes smart. That's not proper. Why not? If you want, we can discuss another day. Why not we ask these things? Because we comply with Allah's command. Allah's greatness, if you understand, then you understand. You should read Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 255, if you have time. Surah Hajj, Surah 59, toward the last 3-4 verses, talks about Allah's greatness. You read Surah Taha, Surah number 20, first 5-6 verses, when Allah talks about Allah's greatness. You should read them and find how great Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and what put him in that position. Quickly, a reflection of Hajj. You reflect in Hajj when you say Safa and Marwa. You say, Inna Safa al Marwa min sha'airillah. Safa and Marwa from the symbols of Allah. From the symbols of Allah. And Allah says, وَمَا يُعَذِّمْ شَاعِرِ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. If you respect their symbols, you really demonstrate taqwa, piety. So, look at Safa and Marwa, what they went through, the mother of Ismail alayhi salam, that patience, that reliance and dependence on Allah, and that led to these rituals of today. So that tells me, whoever like her does the same thing, surely Allah will help them. And Allah says in the Quran, وَكَانَ حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. It is upon Allah to help the believers. So if we work hard, be patient with Allah and comply with this command, we'll be successful inshallah. That's the message. Okay. What is the requirement of doing Hajj? You have to be a Muslim. You have to be sound mind. You can't be insane, because a lot of details on that. You have to be an adult. But can a child do it? Yes. But still the obligation remains when the person becomes adult. Now, you have to be a free person, can't be slave, doesn't apply today. And you have to be able to do so. You have to be able, financially, physically, in whatever legal visas and all this. The last thing, women need a mahram. When I put question marks in some cases, I should have put more of them, but I put little. There is a difference of opinion among the ulama. And why so? This is beyond the scope of the discussion. If somebody wants to talk, we can talk about it. But some of the people of knowledge from the Sunnah, that's what I still believe, that women need a mahram to travel for Hajj. Some of the ulama said, because it is a matter of security, security is guaranteed in the aircraft and through to legal process in different countries and the police force, whatnot, this may be okay to travel, but still I'm a little hesitant to go for it. I didn't knock it out. I simply said I'm hesitant to accept that. Allah knows the best. And these are the requirement, why each of the requirements are placed in the position. I don't want to go into the details because certain things has to be in place for somebody to make Hajj. You can read through it, and if you ask me, we can go into details later. Because there's too many slides to talk about. Why I'm going to do Hajj? Because Allah has commanded me to do so. يقول الله عز وجل Surah Al Imran, Surah number 3, verse 96 and 97. Allah said, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ بَيْتُ وَأُذِيَ لِلنَّاسِ لَلَّذِي بِبَكَّةَ مُبَارَكًا وَهُدًى لِلْعَالَمِينَ فِيهِ آيَاتٌ بَيِّنَاتٌ مَقَامُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. Then he said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah said, without making it long, that Allah commanded the believers to come to the Baytul Haram in Mecca. The house is a blessed house and the first house for this purpose. And whoever comes to that house, they're secure. So they should come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they are capable to do so. But next ayah said, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ, whoever arrogantly denies that, whoever declines to do so intentionally, Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah is independent from His creation. So we have to make Hajj if we're capable to do so. Now, another virtue of Hajj, Ali Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, man hajja lillah, whoever made Hajj for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, falam yarfus walam yafsuq, and does not do any obscene things, doesn't do any evil things. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, rajaka yawma waladathu ummuhu kama qala Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the person become like the day the mother gave birth to the child. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This is really extremely emotional thing if we really get it right. Right? But again, when you do Hajj, it's so hard, so many people, and you wait for a bathroom for 2 hours minimum. So that times all the emotion dries up. So we should culture ourselves from now so we can be, soaked with emotion for the sake of ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the hadith of sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also, al-hajj al-mabrur, laysa lahu jazaa'un illa al-jannah, kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hajj mabrur, accepted Hajj, has no reward except paradise. Again, each of the thing is in a statement. They have fiqh regulations associated with that. I'm only talking about the manasik, not discussing fiqh. But each of them is not simple. Somebody do major haram, somebody stole money and went to Hajj, is it still Hajj al-Mabrur? The ulama has differed on that. Now, I cannot go into details, but I'm simply saying we have to do things properly in Hajj. Number one, the money has to be halal. Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiba, kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah is pure, doesn't accept anything but pure. So again, they have differences in this, but I'm simply saying, make sure the money you apply for Hajj is halal earned money, not haram, inshallah. Right. We can't go into details due to time limitations. Hajj, various types. This is the one you are going to do. Hajj tamattu makes you mutamatti', who make Umrah and Hajj together, with spacing in between that in Ihram. Then you can do Qiran, which is synonymous with that, except you don't get rid of Ihram, but you don't do 2 sets of Sa'i and 2 sets of Tawaf. You do not do that. Thus, the minimum Hajj is Ifrad, that you do only Hajj starting the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. So, details we cannot go due to the time limitations, but you start with Umrah, then you get a break. But guess what? If somebody comes late, the 9th of Arafah, 9th of the Dhul Hijjah, you don't have this luxury to do that. Then you have other options left over. But this is the one we're going to talk about, inshallah. The task overview for tamattu, this is what it is. You declare intention, overview, from for Umrah, most likely in a aircraft. You start with that. Then phase 1, you do the ihram. Then phase 2, you do for Hajj. And rituals, you do Umrah, get a break from the ihram, then do Hajj. Hadi, which is a sacrifice, which is required, and there's minor difference of opinion on that. But no, sorry, Hadi, there's no difference of opinion. Hadi, you have to do that. If you can't do it, you don't have the money, then you fast 3 days in the Hajj and 7 days in home. Fine. And Hajj al-Tamattu requires tawaf for Umrah, and tawaf for Ifadah, and tawaf for Wada. Tawaf for Wada is at the last, at the exit moment from the country. Sa'i, you do 2 sa'i, 1 sa'i for Umrah, 1 sa'i for Hajj, and sacrificing the animal is an obligation. So I'm going to skip that because we really don't have time for this. This is what I just said. You can quickly look through it. Only point here is people from the back, you can see it. Is it legible? Okay. So one of the things it says, in this case, you do Hajj and Umrah both. And Tamattu are independent Umrah and independent Hajj. Unlike Quran, in there you do integrated Hajj and Umrah together. Best Hajj is Tamattu. You know that. You heard it many times. There's no point going into it. Requirement of Hajj. Some of the pillars of Hajj are essential element. Without them, Hajj is batil. Most cases, there's ijma in there, except the issue of Muzdalifah. Some of the A'immah, including Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, considered that to be part of the rukn, part of the pillars, and others don't. I wrote as don't, but you know both sides of the story, right? But if you follow the Sunnah, you will be in Muzdalifah, so it doesn't even apply in this case. 5 obligations which you require for Hajj. If you escape any of them by mistake, for example, the Sheikh talked about perfume and this and that. In an instant something happens, you change it, that's fine. But you have to do something, for example, somebody has a major issue with their head. Like time of Rasulullah, some Sahaba had lice on the head. Rasulullah asked them to shave the head off and pay some penalty for it. So something, if you don't do it, and you do something wrong in that context, you have the luxury to do it, but you have to pay a penalty. But please note, do not purposely just break the rules of Allah and His Prophet ﷺ. That's not right. Even though you can bypass paying some penalty, but you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. Fine. And the Sunnah, if you don't do it, there's no penalty, but you're good to do it. Fine. Umrah requirement, he says ihram, tawaf, and sa'i. Some of the ulama said that cutting the hair is part of it. So I'm telling you that, but I consider this to be a majority. But I don't define, but you're going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter this time. Now, Hajj requirements, you have to enter the ihram, forming the intention, and then you stand in the Arafah, because Hajj is Arafah. Then you do Tawaf al-Ifadah. These are the evidences for that. I think it's not a fit class. You don't need all the evidences, but these are the things we have to do. I'm going to come to them down the line. So general obligations to enter the ihram. By the way, ihram, to be in ihram is a pillar. But to get starting the process of ihram before the mawaqit, it is an obligation. So if you even pass it, can't do it in time, whatever reason, still you have to do it. But you'll be penalized for it. So ihram has to be done. By the way, ihram is not the clothing. Many people think ihram is the clothing. Ihram is not the clothing. Ihram is declaration that what you're about to do. And clothing is part of them. An obligation is a part of it. And staying in overnight in Mina is an obligation. But 13th of Dhul Hijjah, if you want to stay, you can. If you don't want to stay, you don't have to. But it's sunnah to stay. Staying in Muzdalifah until at least halfway of the night for the weak people. But Muzdalifah is an obligation. I wrote. I put a question mark here. Some of the people believe this is a rukn for Hajj, right? So I wrote that. So standing in the Jamarat in the right sequence, and shaving the head or cutting the hair and doing tawaf al-wada, the final tawaf before the person returns to their home. This is the people who are non-Meccan. People don't live in Mecca. A specific requirement for Hajj Tamattu and Qiran that you have to do hadi, you have to do a sacrifice. Sunnah of the Hajj, few of the examples, there's tons of them. Few of the examples. Tawaf al-Qudum, the Sunnah of the Hajj, staying overnight in the Mina right before the Arafah, the 8th night of 8th, which is really 8th of 9th night in Arabic calendar. Then ittiba, showing the right shoulder when you do the Tawaf al-Qudum or Tawaf al-Umrah at the first shot. And for the 7th circuit, you open your shot. Ramal, the first 3 circuits, you do Ramal for the men only. So I need to touch base on this. This also will include in Raqad in terms of jogging between the Safa and Marwa. Can I have attention? Now, if you're not paying attention, it's fine. But this moment, I'm requesting for attention for 2 minutes. You heard enough manasik, it is 15 minutes business. So, but I am about essence, not manasik only. For the sisters, some of the ulama said you shouldn't be running because of the consideration men around you. By the way, Mecca is a sanctuary. Anybody who doesn't know that? Mecca is a sanctuary. In the sanctuary of Mecca, you cannot cut trees. You can't kill animals. Sanctuary in Mecca, regardless of ihram. Regardless of ihram, Mecca is haram. Nothing could be done. No killing animals, no this and that. Cutting trees, you can't do that. Arafah you can. But Mecca's boundaries, you can't. Right? In this sanctuary, Allah and His Prophet ﷺ said, when sisters could be running or jogging, but they don't do it out of the fear of the men around them. The men are busy worshipping Allah like you. You get my point, right? Men are busy worshipping Allah like you. And that's a packed up place. People don't have that much. It's not the place to people look around and see who you are. It's not the place for it. Even then, we have to be cautious because the modesty is a key element in this religion. Laughing, joking too loud, some manners has to be there. Imagine that is a requirement in a sanctuary, in a holy place, in a holy month, where you're doing holy actions. All of them ibadah. Even then you have to be cautious about that. Imagine when you come back to New York, what should you be doing? That's my message. Same person doing all this, coming in New York dressed different way. It's not right. Right? It defies common sense. If you're the same person, the brother was saying, the Shaykh, saying about this dua, that dua. Listen, let me tell you something. Allah is aware of what is heart. Alimun bidhati sudur. He knows what is in the heart. You still have to say it. If you are so detailed in dua like that, a person so meticulous to obey Allah and His Prophet, same person cannot come in New York and start backbiting. Cannot come in New York dressed improperly. Cannot start harming other people. Do cheating in the business. Doesn't make sense. So if you think you just prove to Allah that you're such a good person by doing some rituals only, you made a big mistake. You don't understand the religion yet. You don't understand the religion yet. So it is important to understand what is the reason behind doing certain things. And you have to be cautious that when you come back to New York, life is more than Hajj. But Hajj is supposed to transform the lives. Hajj is supposed to transform the life. An educational institution doesn't only give degrees to the people. It trains and educates people. Degree is a symbol of education, but doesn't guarantee an education. Educational institutes give degrees. But underlying reason, they must educate people. Intellectual ability of the people must grow. So come to the Hajj, you better be a better Muslim when you come back. That is the idea behind it. 5, kissing the black stone and reciting talbiyah until stoning. Some of the ulama said, not until the stoning. He said, as soon as you see Mecca, the houses of Mecca, then there's a difference on that. But again, all of the sunnah, if you do more, nothing wrong with it. If you do less, nothing wrong with that. If you don't do at all, nothing wrong with that. But you're losing blessings. You're losing the blessings. Why you would not do it? That's the point. Climbing the Safa and Marwa and running into them is a pillar. But climbing the small hill is sunnah. But let me tell you something. If not 2 million, if 100,000 people try to do that at once, not 2 million, you just can't do it. Safa and Marwa has little space, can't hold 100,000 people. So most likely you'll be able to do that anyway. You'll be lucky to be at the edge of it, and that should be enough based on the sequence of that, right? To understand the context. Those who went there many times, you know what I'm talking about. Those who never went before, believe it, this is no entertainment there. This is heavy duty work, and we need to prepare our mind to do so. Hajj Tamattu, before any big things we do in our life, we should try to do istikhara before any trip, before planning. In the planning phase, once you decided you've done, you paid for it, nothing to istikhara for. It's a done deal. Okay. I just have to move fast. This is a market. Again, this is a map. In an aircraft, you don't see anything at 37,000 feet. So there's no point even showing this. This is purely academic purpose. But most likely, if either you're going to Jeddah or you're going to Medina, there's two places you're going. One of the two. Unless you go to Riyadh and driving, that doesn't make any sense. But Jeddah, if you're going through Jeddah, that's the easiest way. Technically speaking, I put a lot of signs behind it if somebody understands what I'm trying to say. That regular aircraft travels at 0.7 Mach, which is about close to 600 miles an hour, 570, 80. Before the landing, it goes down to about 300-400. So still you move so fast, within a few minutes you cross a few miles. So do not wait for the last moment. You know your itinerary when the flight's supposed to come down. The pilots say we are landing phase. And in the aircraft, 300 people want to do the same thing. A lot of people don't plan ahead of time. So it's better as soon as you see half an hour, left, change your clothing. You want to change the clothing in the airport? That's fine. Right? Do that and do the talbiyah. Start with that. Now the sunnah to rakah, if somebody comes from Medina and stuff into Hudayfa, you come in, then you make 2 rakah extra salah for the place, not for ihram. Fine. So 15 minutes, technically speaking, you by the water, by the Red Sea. 5 minutes before touchdown is enough. 5 minutes before the touchdown. But why should I wait for the last moment and make a mess? I do 2 hours ahead of time is a lot of problem, right? So make sure that we do stuff earlier. You will have people with you. They will guide through the process, inshallah. There's different mawaqit. There's no point talking about it. This is for the people of Medina. Right? If you come through by the land and drive through it, that time you make 2 rakah, this and that. This is complex detail of fiqh, which you don't need it. Ihram. And ihram is the clothing, as you understand, you saw many times. Men wear izar, thing, in Bangladesh, what they wear, like lungis, right? Those stuff. You can wear it. White kind of garment, could be a towel, could be any white clothing. Doesn't have to be white, but it has become a tradition to do that. So you can do that. If you put off-white, is also fine. It gets less dirty, by the way. That's an advantage to it. And the upper garment is called the rida, is like it's something you put on it. It doesn't have no sleeves and things like that. You just wrap around it for the men. Women, you can wear anything. Then you start with Allahumma hadi, labbaik Allahumma bi umrah, because you're doing tamattu. You start with that. And you read other dua saying, Allah, this Hajj has no show off, not asking for any reputation from people. Like people need to call me Haji when I come back. No hidden agendas behind it. Only for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And wrap up the clothing. I think you already saw that. There's no point talking about it. One thing I believe, these are adults and mature, at the least, 15 years old or more, right? I mean, the intellectual growth at that time, high school, about to go to college, I think they're mature enough to know how to wrap a cloth, right? I mean, there's no point, it doesn't make any sense, so you can do that. All right. So, women has to be. Whole point again, just want to say that if I choose to, sisters has to suffer a lot. And really, it's sometimes a lot of sympathy from me. Because in summer 100 degrees, wearing this clothing is not easy. And Arafah in that day, it will be 110. Like, imagine the difficulty of people. As sisters, for you, you be patient with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, Jazahum bima sabaru. Your reward is there for you because you're patient with Allah. So it is difficult, you have to wrap up the whole thing. Men can open your ihram cloth, the upper part, and soak it and put it back again, which I have done many times. It is very hard. So this is your clothing. And you start reciting the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika lak, labbaik. You know about that, right? Inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika laka labbaik. Now, point is that we continuously repeat this. There's many ways to look at this. Some of the people of knowledge, and myself, look at this, that we continuously responding to the call of Allah. Allah says in the Quran, Istajibu lillahi wa lirrasuli idha da'akum. When Allah, His Prophet calls you, respond to the call. And every time Allah has called upon him, respond to that. This is my motto of my life. This is my goal. That's why I live for. Said every time I respond to the call of Allah. Muazzin call in the masjid, hayya ala salah, come to the prayer, I run to the prayer because my Lord has called me. It is not only in Hajj. I need to respond to Allah's call all the time. And how long should I do it? And when should I stop? Allah speaks about that in Surah Al-Hijr, Surah number 15, the last ayah. فَاعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيكَ الْيَقِينَ. Be obedient to Allah, worship Allah till you die. So respond to the call until the death comes. So this is our message, that I don't come from the Hajj start doing things which are not right. There are many other wordings by the Prophet ﷺ and Ibn Umar, and there's much more to it. If you have a book, you can follow it. If you don't say any of them, that's perfectly fine. Sit down here now. So it is sunnah to make the talbiyah loud. Again, next discussion comes, sisters should not. But there is a text, the sisters did say talbiyah, other men heard it. Now the point is, any sunnah, any shari'i regulation is applicable as long as the harm doesn't outweigh the benefit. This is maslaha mafsada. This is one of the principles in religion. And you can go in details in the discussion. This is one of the principles. And Allah said about gambling and wine, Allah said, Ismuhuma akbaru min nafihima. The benefit of these two is lesser than the harm it creates. That's why Allah made it haram. So if the sisters make loud noises, like other men looking at them and getting, distracted by it, at that point it is better to do in low voice. Now please note, in that environment, you have to be so considerate about yourself. Imagine when you come home, how should we need to behave ourselves in front of the population? Those are Muslims in the sanctuary, in an act of ibadah, worship, in a whole different mode. And you come here, all these non-Muslims, right? And what they say, what they behave, the manners, and the social norms, we know it. So we should not avail ourselves in evil things so people look at us. We shouldn't be. So men and women both are required to lower their gaze when they walk. This is the sharia of this day. This is no sunnah stuff here. This is wajib. Men and women need to lower their gaze. Why? You don't end up seeing something. And sisters, you need to lower your gaze like the brothers so you don't end up seeing something what you should not be seeing. Now guess what? Now you shouldn't be a symbol where people look at you. So while you don't look at others, you don't make yourself so presentable so you call other people to look at it. So you are leading other people towards haram. That's a dangerous matter. We have to be very careful about it. So we ask Allah's protection from it. Fine. And you can read some of the stuff here. Talbiyah for Umrah start from the moment you start Ihram and until you start the Tawaf. And there is some difference on that. The Hadith in Ahmad and Hadith in Bukhari. There's difference of opinion on that. But these are from the Sunan. Do whatever works with the group does. Another side note for myself. When we go in a group, it is better to follow one group. Not to get excited, do extra stuff because the consequence could be, some cases, fatal if somebody is elderly and sick. Consequence could be fatal in some cases. When I went, alhamdulillah, I was in good health. I was in a very good shape. Physical health-wise, I could run and do things. SubhanAllah, even me, my sandal got ripped off. Right? I walked miles without sandal. And people squeezed me so hard, at a certain point, Father, I remember, I felt like I'm getting choked. People pushing on my chest so much, I felt like I'm able to breathe. It happened to me. Alhamdulillah, I was in good health, just to make a point. So I could push people away, regardless of the weight of it. So even then I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was hot, humid, and too many people. So please be cautious about fine details if you can do those or not. So I talked about this before. If a person is doing Hajj and Umrah and passes the miqat without intending the ihram, the person must go back out of that boundary. And this will be a headache to do it, by the way. A lot of headache in this time. So please be cautious about that. Otherwise, if there is no way you can do it, then you have to pay a penalty for that. Now the sunan to do a ghusl before you go, and you can do in the plane, there's no water. You can do airport and JFK, unlikely. You should do it from home. And if you don't want to wrap up, feel awkward, you can do the wrapping in the plane if you want to. Putting the perfume on the face and the beard and other places without on the clothing, not on the clothing. before that, because from the sunnah and the traces of the perfume, it was, and also saw some beard. So this is from the sunnah. Again, you don't have to do it if you can't do it. You don't have to go through difficulties if you miss one. It's fine. A lot of people, I think this is a misunderstanding. You can wear your sandals later. Ihram, the moment you declare, you don't have to put all the stuff at the same time. You know, this is a clothing you can do later. And ittiba to do, it is not the sunnah to open the right shoulder all the time. It is only before the tawaf starts. At the conclusion of tawaf, you wrap back again, done. So it's not from the beginning. You don't do that. Right? So men exposing the right shoulder, it is not from the aircraft, not at the immigration. At the moment you're starting the tawaf from Hajj Aswad, from that point, not before that. Upon completion of the 7, then you done, cover it back. And sisters doesn't even apply. Okay, I talked about it, about the mask. The Sheikh also talked about it. In the time of necessity, you can wear masks if it is too much smoke. People have allergy symptoms, people have asthma, right? When you come to the tent, open it up. You're passing through difficult places. You can do it on a temporary basis, not for all the time. And there's a difference of opinion whether if you continue doing that, then end up being penalty on that. But I hope nobody has this issue to deal with, inshallah. But this is very important. This is extremely important. Let me repeat, this is extremely important for everyone, that anybody making Hajj could be difficulties. Immigration, for example. Your visa is not right. I know people couldn't even get in. I know people that. From the airport, they had to come back. So things can happen. So concern, if you have any concern or problems that you may get sick, things like that, you make an intention that Allah, whatever I get stuck through due to any difficulties, from there on, I'm out. From any place I'm prevented from moving forward, from there you can exit your ihram. But if you don't do so in the intention phase, you have to pay a penalty for that. Right? And there is this is hadith of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, وَإِنْ حَبَثَنِي حَابِسٌ فَمَحَلِّ حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. كما قال Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whatever you prevented, from that point you can exit the ihram. It is good to do that. An example, 2007, I think, I went for Umrah, and my little son was very sick in the aircraft. I was very sick. I mean, he was not responding even. It was that bad. So when he made intention for ihram, I made his intention. If something goes wrong, I'm going to just go back. So I planned ahead of time, so I don't go into a jam. So it is important to have this exit strategies when you go for Umrah, inshallah. Now, another side point, if somebody is making Hajj and some problems happens on the path, you don't reach there in Jeddah for a certain reason, a certain time, you end up going there, 9th of Dhul-Hijjah, and day of Arafah, you just landed in Jeddah. You have to rush. You have to rush to Arafah there, from there. So you cannot do a tawaf and sa'i for Umrah. So you can change your intention to Qiran, that which integrates the Hajj and Umrah together, sa'i and tawaf are integrated. So you skip tawaf al-Qudum, which is not necessary. So you do all of them after the day of the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah, inshallah. Okay, I have to skip those. Ihram, I think you know them, so I'm just go quickly over it. You cannot cut hair, nail, remove anything. And if you have something pricking your hand, some thorn or something, you can remove them. If you bleed something, it's fine. And do not hunt or assist other people hunting. You know, this doesn't apply to today's age and time, but in the back in days, people used to do that. And you can do this. This again for Sharia law. This talk about land game. Land game means deer and things like that. None of the stuff. No marital relations, and you can act which leads to desire. Whether this has, if somebody does it have any penalty? Ulama has differed on that. But surely this has penalty. Even Hajj may be battled, depends on the time and the space. You cannot have marriage contract, no proposal. If somebody does so, it does not. It doesn't require any penalty for that. But the marriage contract is invalid, right? And people shouldn't be doing that. This is violation of ihram. They should make istighfar for that. and do not wear any gloves and things like that, and no perfume before entering ihram and after the first exit, not in between that. Now perfume has different opinion on that. Again, each of the case I start 2-hour lecture on perfume only. If you want to hear it, 2 hours definition of perfume. What is the legal definition of perfume? If you can legally define something as perfume, then you can take it. Mint tea, is it considered perfume? Now legal definition has to be put into place. If it is a perfume, then you can use it. But if it is not, then you can use it. So legal definitions. But the simple point is, some of the ulama, including Shaykh ibn Baz, rahimahullah, in terms of perfume and shoes, he, rahimahullah, said, anything in the urf, in the culture, not considered as perfume, then that is not perfume. A general definition, general, right? Anything considered a shoe in this culture, then you shouldn't be wearing it. And anything is not considered a shoe, it is okay to wear it. In very broad general definition, right? So these are the things which have some differences. But anytime you have a doubt, this is another principle in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, do not do the thing which has doubt for the thing which doesn't have a doubt. So do not have to jump into doubtful matters, right? Fine. And there's another hadith, إن الحلال بين إن الحرام بين بينهما أمور مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثيرا من الناس. Halal is clear and haram is clear. In between that have doubtful matters which most of the people do not know. And if I'm among them do not know, better be in the safe side, nothing to worry. Again, I got to pass fast because there's a lot of stuff. The men cannot cover their head, and you understand that, right? No perfume and shoes. This kind of shoes, you can wear it definitely. For now. This is okay, but it may rip off. Okay, plus this is double band, this is better. So less chance of being problematic, right? It's not going to rip off. Even this will rip off, by the way. There is no guarantee, but I'm saying this is better off. But other types, ulama has differences. Ulama has differences, but Ibn Taymiyyah, I think, he said, Shaykh ibn Baz for sure said, rahimahullah, said, even he said, if this is considered not a shoe for this, even that, if an ankle is exposed, even he said that is okay. But to be in the safe side without going to a scholarly debate, like that, everybody is happy with that. Your front is exposed and the back is also exposed. And some of the Aimah have objection to that, but I also want to be safe side without no headache, right? Women cannot wear niqab and gloves. So that simply tells you, time of Prophet ﷺ, best of the generation, used to wear niqab and used to wear gloves, right? A side note, that is not the part of the discussion. You know, this is my humble opinion, and I'm going to say that many sisters have, Allah said, do not expose your beauty what doesn't naturally expose itself. Ulama of tafsir has a lengthy discussion, pages after pages. Now, point is, putting a lot of rings in the hand and putting henna in the hand, nothing wrong with that. But if you give somebody money, and her brother picks up the money and looks at your hand, he get enticed by that, you invited that. You called for it. That's what I'm saying. You called for it. You didn't intend to that. Khalas, no problem with that. But there is a consequence of what you have done. So you have to take some responsibility for it. If there is a possibility that this thing may lead to something else, that it may happen one day. And why should I bother doing that? So I'm simply saying, if those days, Prophet says, don't wear it, and women, if they don't wear niqab, they can put extension, as the brother showed. There's no point in going into details. But my point is the lessons out of it, not only rituals. Because this Muslim generation do rituals for years, and when it comes down, they do the same haram again. Because rituals was done, they don't know what it means to their life. It has meaning to it. So we understand what is written here, inshallah. Okay, you can read through it. Now, again, this thing will come on perfume soap. Now, every soap having a smell doesn't mean it has perfume. Every perfume has a smell doesn't mean every smell has a perfume. Every fragrance is not perfume. You cook meat and smell certain spice, doesn't mean that, right? So, if there is an issue, why should I lend myself to problems? So use regular soap, it has no smell on it. You go to Walmart and Walgreens, there's tons of soap. Why bother, right? But some of the ulama said the soap doesn't have embedded real perfume in this. It's okay to use it. It has natural smell on it. But if somebody has doubt with that, And previous generation don't know details. They will look at what kind of pious man you are, that you're doing all this. So you should be cautious. If something is creates problem, I always like to stay away from it, to be in the safe side. Fine. You can bath, you can take 100 times, you can cool off, you can soak your ihram, cool off, put on you if it's too hot. Those things are allowed to do it. Another thing, what is the other one? All right. There's a lot of discussions, a lot of stuff. I have to really time is short. I can skip that. Okay. Tawaf normally requires wudu, and many Aimma agrees with that, including Ibn Baz and other Aimma. But Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he was a giant scholar on his merit. This Ummah didn't see scholarship of that caliber for many years, but he disagrees with that, and he has his points. So simply what I'm trying to tell you, it is not Muhammad in the corner of the street disagrees. This is scholars agrees, and they have visions. We never disrespect them, but we choose one of them. We can't choose all of them, right? Okay, fine. Sahih is without wudu is okay, and women in monthly cycle is also okay. And you can read through it. So always good to be in clean cloth with wudu, and there is no dispute with anybody. If you do extra, nothing wrong with that, no problem. Do little, you go through problems, right? Fine. I'm going to skip that. There's too many of them. So tawaf, you start with the right foot in the masjid. It's A'udhu billahi al-azim wa biwajhil kareem wa sultanihi al-qadim, so on and so forth. That dua of the masjid. By the way, this dua is for any masjid, not this masjid. A general dua. Now, can I tell you something? This dua is not obligation to memorize. It's a bismillah if you don't know anything. It's fine. We don't have to feel belittled that I don't know this dua. You know, Islam is more than dua. Memorize all the dua and do all the haram when I come back. It's better, forget the dua and fix my life here. That's more important. It has an impact. There has to be some momentum grown out of the Hajj. Fine. Now another point. When you start the ihram, tawaf al-qudum or for the umrah, then you expose the shoulder. That is important. For the men, obviously. For the first 7 circuit, after done, you put it back. Khalas. Right? Now, I want to show you some pictures. You start from Hajar Aswad, you start from this line. There's the black line. Still now, been there for all along. You won't see it because so many people are standing on it. And by the look, you see how people start. Believe it, you look at 3D picture from the top is one thing. And if you're a short person, the people 6'5", you won't see anything except the sky. And being realistic here, you won't see anything. So you go into a group and follow somebody, know they line up the place. You start from there. This is the black stone. You start from there. Go, keep the Kaaba to your left. Go counterclockwise 7 times. Right? And this is Rukn Yemeni. And this is from Hajar Aswad. From here until there, you do Ramal, fast-paced running. Some of the Aimmas say whole thing, but that's another topic. So you do that, then walk in this and make dua Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. Do you have to do it? No, you don't have to do it. But if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Is this the only thing you can do? No. You can do any dua you want, you can do it. Because dua is a relation with Allah and His servant. If I don't have stomach pain, I'm not going to make dua for stomach pain. And some Sahabi made dua for because he has this problem, I don't have it. So dua is asking somebody who can give you the relief or give you what you need. So you have to expose your need to him while he's aware of it already. The point is, dua is more than repetition of words. It is more than that. Right? So you need to understand those things. Alright. Next one point. You can make Hajar Aswad in Mecca and see how many people gathered to do that. I mean, this is practically impossible for the sisters to go. And brothers, maybe depends on the health condition, right? And you make it in a jam. And if you see any sisters going, a man shouldn't be touching that. That's haram. This is sunnah, that's haram. We need to use our senses. I saw people pushing women because they're all excited about what? Kissing a stone. That's all it is. But you violated the right of another sister. Allahumma musta'an. What is the brain of the people? We need to think what we do. Don't do the thing, then you think. You think first. I think people in Texas do that. They do things, then they think. We have to think first, then we do it, inshallah. So, and if you see the ocean of population here, right? Ocean of people there, and this is Hajar Aswad, and you're standing here, I mean, you have no chance. But if you can, mashallah. Now shows the close. You are so close to the Kaaba, so the height of it, and you can see you can compare yourself based on the structure. And look at the population of Hajj. Tons of people. And this is the coolest time at night, by the way, the lights are on. Imagine right after Dhuhr here, temperature of 110 and 15 in the top. And you can't sustain that. So you have to take this in consideration as all these people. How I'm going to do my things, this is called planning, right? Okay, let's move on. Okay, Ta'af, you start on the black stone and face it and make takbir. Then if you can, switch down it. It's impossible. Other things you won't be able to do it, so we're going to bypass it. But please do not go inside the Hijr. Because the Hijr Ismail, that's not true. This Hijr is only the right name. Or Hatim. You shouldn't be going into there doing Tawaf because that's part of the Kaaba. Tawaf should be around the Kaaba, not through the Kaaba. Right? As a matter of fact, you won't have a chance to get in there anyway, so it doesn't matter. So one of the sunnah is this: once you go around it, Rukn Yemeni, you can touch it with the right hand, no kissing. I don't think you can do that. That's what the sunnah. Next issue of iltizam, you can't do that. I mean, that would be virtually impossible. Why so? Because the spacing between the Hajar Aswad and the door of Kaaba, as I showed before, is very small. Very small. And going there, touching and rubbing is practically impossible. This is issue of fiqh. I'm going to bypass that. I'm going to bypass all this. Come to the sunnah. After doing 7 tawaf, you go to Maqam Ibrahim. Allah says, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. Take the place of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Station of Ibrahim is the place of worship. Again, anytime you worship there, that should remind you a man did what level of sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What level of sacrifice he did that Allah called up his name, make his station a place of worship. So you need to think that. But you won't be able to get a space there, impossible. So pray somewhere in the masjid, that should be fine, inshallah. Then, drinking Zamzam is not an obligation after that, but it's good to drink it. You should drink as much as you can, fill up your stomach, make dua for it. There's many dua from the Sahabas and from the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from the companions, and any dua you want to make. Some of the companions make dua for knowledge. Some, I think Ibn Mubarak, if I'm not mistaken, rahimahullah, he made dua that may Allah quench his thirst in their judgment. So there are many dua you can make whatever you work with, right? But more important thing here, beside drinking, you know the manasik, you heard so many times. Hajj is a 15 minutes lecture, you heard for 15 days, I think is enough. But you drink Zamzam, you imagine this water was allocated for some different kind of people. You know that. Water didn't come for you and me. Somebody had to earn through hard labor, patience, sacrifice, and obedience to Allah. Zamzam water. And you imagine those people, what sacrifice they made, and how difficult they went through to come to this. So we need to understand that when you drink the Zamzam, and that we are far below their standard, but we are honored to drink from that. So you make sure that you understand it, inshallah. Then he had to say, and this is Zamzam. I'm going to bypass all this. And if you already went there, you know it. Those who didn't go to the first time, that the counting of the sa'i starts from 1. From Safa, that's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started. You start in Safa, then you continue towards Marwa, this 1. Then you come back, it's 2. And you do 7 times, that's an odd number. Therefore, if you start in Safa, you must be ending at Marwa. That's an odd number, right? So Safa and Marwa. And when you look at Safa and Marwa, you may read the dua, Inna Safa wa Marwa min sha'airillah. And these are the symbols of Allah. And if I don't see a symbol there, I should look for one. If I don't see the symbol when I walk, I try to think myself, get emotional in that. That this is where a mother was desperate for food and wants some companionship with a lonely baby in the middle of nowhere. When I run this, it should resonate in my mind, not taking pictures. People take pictures, laughing and joking. That's not the place for that. It's not entertainment. This is an act of worship. A mother suffered. If I say that somebody will be executed now, right? It's not entertainment. This is a sad story. Somebody suffered here. This is a sad moment. This is not fun. So please think before you do this thing. It's important to do that. And you know this dua in the Safa wal Marwa min sha'airillah. So if you read the whole ayat of the Quran, I do as much, at least until the beginning of it. Then you say, Abda'u bima bada Allahu bih. And you start where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started. In the ayat, in the Safa. That's how you started. It start from Safa, inshallah. And it's not mustahab. It is not mustahab to repeat this all the time you go there. Only the first cut, when you go to Safa, that's why you read the first time, not every time. But if you read the ayat, this ayat of the Quran. Nothing wrong with that, but this is not mustahab. This is not preferred to do that. Then you go to Safa, and the dua is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu lahul mulku wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. This dua, you continue that, and the top of the Safa, if you can climb the hills, you read 3 times the dua, in between you make dua. So if you have 3 numbers, and gap in between, you have 2 gaps. 3 numbers. If you put 3 chairs, in between you have 2 gaps. So you have 3 du'as, you have 2 gaps in between. So you read this 3 times, in between in the long du'a. If people are pushing you, make it short. Depends on the circumstances. Make a lot of du'a, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an act of obedience and ibadah, worship. So let us make it look like a worship. When you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you mean it, inshallah. And also I said that sisters may not run in there, but if it is okay to run, there's no men around, which is unlikely, then you can run as much as you want. If, like, as 2 sisters are there, you really want to run, you have 4 mahram around circling you, then you can run. I'm just being, detailed, so you can do that. But whole point is this: when I come home, same sister has so modest in front of the other men, in the house of Allah, in the sanctuary. When you come outside, please, Allah is watching over this. Allah is watching what you're thinking in your mind. Allah knows that. So please, at least a person, a servant of Allah, should have the most haya in front of Allah, because He knows inside and out. Like we should be like, I'm trying to do something and He knows already. So you got to be careful how we deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very important. Fine. You can read through this. And Safa and Marwa, those who didn't go, this is 2 tracks. One going uphill, one go downhill, if you want to think this way. There's separation between that. So this is 2 track. Typically, it doesn't have to be track. This is for ease of communication. In that time, they had no track. There's middle of nowhere. The track is built so people don't have head on each other. Right? This is the way you do it. Now, there's the green markers there, as you can see. So when you come to the green markers, you should try to jog a little bit. If you have some space, if not, that's fine, inshallah. Again, to green marker, simply saying within the range of that light. If the tomorrow change the light to pink, it could be pink. I'm just saying green because I got a picture of a green. You understand that? The tomorrow don't say you told me green, it was pink. Come on, they changed the light bulb to different color. What it matters is, there's a demarking point there. From that point I start and end in another point. Oh yeah, it is a slope too, right? Yeah. Okay, any dua I can make. People laugh and joke, take pictures, and talk in a phone. Is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. But you don't go there every day. That little moment I have, I want to be close to Allah. I want to make it a lifetime journey to get close to Him. Every moment, I think about Day of Judgment, about my mistakes, about the grave. My forefather passed away. In a matter of time, I will go too. Anybody know Ross Perot died? The billionaire? He died 3 days ago. He's 89 years old. The man is a billionaire, run for presidential election twice. Didn't make it. He's a billionaire, right? He's a billionaire. What is his billions now? Somebody else took it. This is Hayatul Dunya. This is nothing but passing time. It will just go. You like it or not, that's a different story. It will pass. So this time I have in Mecca and Medina, I should make the best use of it. We ask Allah to offer us that, inshallah. Those who are sick and tired, they can take wheelchairs and ride. That's also allowed. Now after that, you have completed your Umrah. Then men shave the head. Shaving is better than cutting. But within the context that if you just arrive, your hair won't grow for cutting after the Jamarat, then it's better to trim it so you have some hair to cut it, because you want to get the final blessings there, right? Again, either way is fine. We do not want to make this deen difficult. Allah speaks in Surah Hajj, Surah number 22, verse 78, the last ayat. Allah says, وَمَا عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. This religion is not imposing hardship on people. So don't want to make it more difficult than what it is. Right? We can cut some lags there, fine. But when I come here, I cannot go to the bank and take some bank loan to buy a house. So there is no relaxation in this. So we need to understand what is important, what is lesser of the importance. Fine. Now, okay, so we understand that. Let's move to next. Now we have exited the ihram, those who do tamattu only. Exited the ihram, now everything is halal for you to do as in New York. Khalas. No details required. Like today, what you can do, after the first exit, you can do the same thing. Khalas. Okay, these are issue of fiqh. I think it doesn't apply to you, so I'm going to skip that for Umrah. I made this for a detailed fiqh and manasik both. Exit the masjid, there is the dua, Bismillah, salatu, salamu ala Rasulillah, Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadak, Allahumma ahsinni min ash-shaytan rajim. So you can make this dua if you know it, and if you don't know, mashallah, you can try to memorize it. I'm assuming that you go to masjid for prayer, so this will help you a lot if you memorize this. This is an everyday thing. Actual rituals of Hajj. 8th of Dhul Hijjah in the morning from the hotel, most likely from the Mecca. You can go to the Mina. Now, you, not as a person, you'll go by a bus most likely with 20, 30, 40, 100 people. So you have no say in there. Simply you're going to follow the crowd, right? But what is normally done, 8, go there. So you leave early in the morning, a lot of traffic, so you can reach there, make Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha, and in the morning, Salatul Fajr. And you make them qasr there, inshallah. Then you obviously have to make ihram, do the labbaik hajjan, labbaik Allahumma hajjan. You have to make this declaration for Hajj. Those, because you are out of ihram, you're renewing your ihram from the get-go. In this case, the ihram is done within the compound where you are. You do not have to cross the miqat. That's important to understand that. Okay. Now, since I have to move fast, it is mustahab to recite the talbiyah loud until the stoning of Jamarat. I wrote the word there, stoning at the Jamarat, without giving the details. It is the beginning of the stoning or end of it. Ulama has differences of opinion there, right? So, whichever you work with, that's fine. But it is only 5 minutes difference at the max. And this is mustahab. Key word is mustahab. So there is no point arguing, because if somebody needs to argue, let us argue with something more important than that. Fine. A lot of people have this notion it has to be clean and washed. Clean is good, but it doesn't have to be. Another thing is important, signs are there in big English and Arabic, huge yellow, black, green signs, said where you are. So please make sure, not you as a group, but the entire group doing something wrong, you can point it out. Whether we should be inside the boundary of Arafah, we is outside of it. It says Arafah starts here, we're like 2 blocks away from it. You're looking at the bus. I said, that's not right. So you understand that, you can point it out. So these are the places I have to be in certain time. Am I there or not? You are at the Hajj, you can say that. No problem with that. Mina, there's a lot of tents. You go to Mina and pray Zohr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha, and Fajr, shortening the prayer. 4 rakah become 2 rakah, but not joining them is Sunnah. But again, it is Sunnah. But something leads you to join it, doing jam. Jam you can do regardless. Even without traveling, when there is a need for it. So somebody is sick, can make too much wudu, big lines, and some difficulties, you make jam. وَمَا عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. There is no difficulty in the religion. Yawm Arafah, then you travel after the sunrise, recite the talbiyah or takbir. Prophet ﷺ's companion did either of them. Nobody ridiculed the other one, so both is allowed to do it. And stop in Namira. Now, this is not going to work for you. This sunnah to stop there until low time and then make 2 rakah in a valley. And how are you going to find the valley? Now I'll show a picture. But how are you going to see the valley? Those days is something else. Today there's no valley street. Now, these things you can do on a bus, but this sunnah. But anywhere you pray is fine. If you can't pray anywhere, you make pray in your tent in Arafah, wherever that is. Okay, I'm going to bypass this. Now, if you look at Arafah, people come from the north and not up that corner. People will come through this. This is the boundary of Arafah, the dotted line, right? The Muzdalifah is going out from this. You see the black line all on the top of the corner going out, coming in. It will be coming in from that direction. I don't know exactly where. Because when I went this many years ago, a lot of things changed. So it comes this way. Now, when 2 million people want to come there, you're lucky to be coming to your tent in one piece. That should be fine. Sure. And this is a picture. Mountain of Mercy, this is not a word. I copied the picture from online. It is called Jabal al-Rahma. There is no text for that really. People call it. It is the mountain of Arafah. That's what it is. I took the picture from online, so this is a disclaimer. This is not Mountain of Mercy. This is Mount Arafah, they call it. By the way, it doesn't apply to you just quickly. The masjid, what is the masjid? I just saw it there. There you go. The masjid here, you don't see it. Masjid in Namira. This majority of the masjid is inside of Arafah. But some part falls out of Arafah. Right? Is out of Arafah. So you can't go in the masjid with GPS and find that. So always try to be towards the end side, is always been the safe side. If you ever make it. There's no point climbing up there. This is not from the Sunnah to pray there. A lot of people go up there, pray there. This is not from the Sunnah. Arafah dua, there is a dua. It's a common dua. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahu al-mulku wa lahu al-hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Now if I read this whole day, just I'm going to the message of it. If I read this whole day, I believe Allah is shay'in qadir. Kulli shay'in qadir. I believe Allah is capable of doing anything. If I really believe that. Many people into dua who are repeating like a parrot, it really doesn't mean anything to the person. If you believe Allah is ala kulli shay'in qadir, and when I commit the sin, He can punish me. That's what it means, by the way. If I lie, He can get me for that. That's what it means. So, I'm the same person making all this dua and coming down, don't even care for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somewhere there is disconnect. And this is problem of people, we are people of worship of rituals only. No essence in that. So inshallah, we should think about that. And Arafah is a place of standing, facing the Qibla, raising the hand, asking Allah, beseeching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, crying. How do you cry? Because look back how many sins I have done. 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Keep running it. Through memory lane, running it, it's Allah, why have I done this wrong? What do you ask me day of judgment about this thing? What if you want to burn me in the hellfire? So then what? So this thing is to resonate in the mind of people when they make dua. If you don't feel you are a criminal, you shouldn't be humble in front of the judge. But we are criminals. Innana minal mujrimeen. We are the criminals. Verily. So Rabbana zalamna anfusana. We have done wrong to ourselves. Adam did one wrong, and we did thousands. Adam did one wrong, we did thousands. So we have to continuously keep saying, Allah forgive me. Please. One time, 1,000 times, 2,000 times, continuously. This should be an objective of people's life. Not only rituals, is more than that, inshallah. But I said this part, exceptions in Arafah. You have to be there from Fajr, those who come in until the nightfall. But those for emergencies couldn't make it. As long as they passed through Arafah and kept the group in Muzdalifah at Fajr time, before the sunrise, then you still made it. And beyond that, you have to repeat the Hajj. I hope, inshallah, this is never going to happen, but we should know. Why did I say that? I read it myself. A Muslim sister did a violation in her ihram, and she thought her Hajj is batil, and she left. Then she found out Hajj is not batil. She can continue that. She didn't know that. She left. So you should know what is must to do and what you can live without. This way we know when you have to cut corners, we know which corner to cut. Sunnah we can cut. What if worst case we can cut and pay a penalty? But pillars we can. And what is the minimum requirement of a pillar? That should be known too. Otherwise, we probably get lost and doesn't get the Hajj done right. Okay. Exceptions. No evidence required. Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah, you go there at night and stay the whole night, rest. Now please note, it is good to rest so you can rejuvenate for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is a heck lot of work there. Tomorrow morning. A lot of work. Going back and forth. You need a lot of energy, so you should rest. Now somebody said, I can't sleep in public places, like myself. Okay. So I can rest, let me just chat on the phone or talk with people and watch the news. Allahumma musta'an. You can ibadah. No, but the Sheikh says tonight should be resting. No extra worship is from the Sunnah. But you're not doing the Sunnah. You're up. So what are you doing now? Playing computer games. You miss the whole understanding. This is the problem. People don't understand the fiqh. Understanding of fiqh is something else. So you're supposed to rest, which you can, then do askar. Do some khair, do some good. Why can sit down and play computer game? Sheikh says, no extra ibadah tonight. It's not from the Sunnah. But that's true. But what are you doing? Is it better than doing some ibadah or not? We need to understand. All right. This is a picture of Arafah. And you can see the circles. And you see the Jamarat, where is the Mina, where is Muzdalifah. And you have to take the path back again. Right? Okay. This is a picture of it. You can see. Muzdalifah is a homeless night. Right? It's a homeless night. No fun there. It's difficult. So difficult, dusty, in public place. And so we have to be, it's not easy. This is part of the sacrifice. You should rest and rejuvenate, inshallah. Okay. A concession in Muzdalifah, those who are weak, sick, has difficulties. You don't have to be sick. You have difficulties. Then they can leave after midnight. They used to see the setting of the moon, they used to leave. So if you can't see the moon, and I am not that good at moon and sun and maps, I'm not good at it. So if you see this is process the midnight, an estimation for Maghrib to Fajr divided into two pieces, then you cross the time, then you can leave. But you have to leave with the group. If the group can afford to do that, you can leave and do the actions earlier. Okay. Now, back to Mina for stoning. So the easier way when you do the stoning, collection of the pebbles, not stone. Stone is a big word. Pebbles, small ones, the size of a bin, kidney bins, things like that, right? Prophet ﷺ, here is the point I like to make. Again, this is point to stress. Rasul ﷺ said a hadith here about being extreme in religion. Ibn Abbas collected some, what do you call this? Pebbles for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was on his mount, so that allows him to people take a car. If you are a VIP, you can, but you can. So you collect the pebbles. He said, this is enough, but don't be extreme in your religion. Extreme views never last. It is appealing because it has an impulse. Anybody in engineering field, signal processing, you know what an impulse is? A sharp spike. That's impulse, right? But doesn't last too long. So this height doesn't last too long. But I am about average growth. As a nation, 1.5 billion can we grow? This is the point. So the point here is that we have to see that we do not get too carried away for the pebbles, right? And after the stoning, Talbiyah stops where there's a difference of opinion. At the first or the last, there's different. But both of the mustahab, you do whichever works for you. And this is big signs. There's no way you can miss it. There's 3 of them. And these are the pictures. Again, these are online pictures for Google. And you can see the flow of the traffic. There's other pictures, quickly. Now the point is Mecca. The first day when you throw it, the Mecca is supposed to be in your left. Supposed to be. But guess what? To be Mecca to your left, then you have to be in that side of the group. But this is not your choice. You understand that, right? First day, about 2 million people want to finish this in a certain time. And they have to go back to Mecca, then come back. All the things they have to do, whatever way the traffic flows, please go with that. That's why I lose my sandal about 25 years ago. And I didn't even look back. I saw people falling, and it's very sad to see you can't help people. It is a devastation there. So people died a few times in these places. So please, follow the flow of people, don't look back. And don't pull your phone out from this. Don't pull out pencil and passport and ID. You're going to lose it. Period. So we have to be rigid, tight, less luggage with you, tighten your belt, and move forward. Keep some hand in front of you. So somebody push you, you have some, you push somebody in front of you, you have some space so your chest doesn't get stuck between 2 people. Anyway. This is the Aqaba. This is the largest one. What are you going to do? And you can see the situation. Mecca is this direction. And again, this is a 3D from the map from the top. But when you are with 2 million people, you really don't know which way you are. You just go, right? This is the flow of the traffic. when you go up, and this is online pictures anyway, I didn't make anything up. This is Mecca. So you go this way the first day, you go towards until the end, do it and move on. And you should be making dua and all this. I don't know, nobody will make you stop there. You have to be moving. You make your dua on the move. You don't get a chance to stop, right? By the way, people died in this place more than once. So please be cautious. Don't get carried away. Do your rituals and move on. And this is a lot of people there. And to me, it looks very little. I don't know why that little. Still very little number of people. People could be taken from anywhere. You can take from Mina if you find. You can, if the bus picked it up, you can pick up from Muzdalifah, you can pick up from New York or where. But whatever is feasible. And don't make a big deal out of things. And this doesn't have to be washed, perfume, because this is a ritual. Pebbles is just a pebble. Whole thing is a ritual. But what is behind the ritual, that's what it matters. I'm going to point out, I have only 10 minutes. So rituals we do, you heard it many times in a book, you can find out. Hajj is a 15 minutes project to learn, period. But the essence is 55 years of work of it. 55 years. Anytime you throw the stoning you do, what are you doing? By the way, time of Rasulullah, there was no pillars there. Pillars were built recently. There's no pillars. There's a place, you throw it. A pile of stuff, you just throw it there. So why are you going to throw it? And if you hate the shaitan so much, and you're showing obedience to Allah so much, so you do something to you is meaningless, to Allah, from Allah is a command, you're so obedient to Allah, same person come back to New York, when something doesn't make sense, and also command of Allah, how do you do it? Cheating in a business is wrong, morally wrong. Forget the religion, it's morally wrong. You're the same person, morally wrong, religiously wrong. Man ghasha falaysa minni, kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Whoever deceive other people, not among us, not among the Muslims. We can't be doing that. But same person doing a ritual, doesn't understand the benefit, right or wrong, do it. Same person come home, do all the haram. What kind of piety is that? What kind of ritualistic compliance is that? It doesn't make any sense. Allah said, لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Verily, he is an open enemy to you. Shaitan is not there, by the way. But still you do it. Because it bothered somebody back in days. It's a ritual now. But shaitan is with me when I'm lying, by the way. Shaitan is with me when I'm cheating. When I'm looking at something, when Allah made it haram. I have to stay from it. This is one of the definitions of hijrah. One of the definitions of hijrah, al-muhajir is al-muhajir man hajara ma naha Allahu anhu, kama qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hijrah is when a person, a believer, stay away from the thing when Allah made it haram. That is the definition of hijrah. So, what it means that everything Allah made it haram, I should be running away from it to another place, another mindset, another room, another people, whatever it takes. That makes me a muhajir. Right? Likewise, obedience to Allah is not throwing pebbles. When you come home, living a life of Muslim and piety. That is the direction of Hajj, and that's how it should be. And you do the 7-1, you know. Right? You're going to do that. But when you come home, please, when you see shaitan around him, don't throw a pebbles. He said, listen, shaitan is inside me, I need to restrict myself. That's the point. Okay. And you saw this stuff, what is written in there. And you cannot delegate other people to do, what do you call this? Throwing the stoning part, you cannot delegate other people unless you're sick and handicapped and you're exhausted and whatnot. But if you, why not? Because Allah said, أَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, and complete the Hajj and Umrah, the rituals, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many you have to do? As you understand, Eid day Yom Nahar, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, you do 7, the big one, Aqaba. Then second day, you do 21, third day, 21, and if you do not get out from Mina before the sunset that day, on the 12th, then the third day, you also have to send 21. Please note, it is not a one person walking out of Mina. It's not like that. It's thousands of people who leave. As I heard, I didn't know. But I thought people should be staying. But if the people are, then while they force them out, they have to go. But if you're in the traveling mode, got into the bus stuck for 3 hours, then fine, because you're on the move. You intended, you're on the move. But if you're sitting until the sunset in the tent, then you're stuck, you have to stay till the next day. What is the point I say? Let me say. Allah Okay, I said the exception for Jamrat al-Aqaba, if somebody cannot do it for sickness, whatnot, they can leave the Muzdalifah after the middle of the night and finish all the actions of Hajj to be done for that day. Because night precedes the day. You can complete whatever you're supposed to do on the 10th. Finish all of them up. If you have a valid excuse. Right? Okay. And Prophet ﷺ also allowed some people to combine the stoning on the 11th and the 12th. People who are shepherds, this and that. You don't have shepherd, but using analogy to that, somebody has certain difficulties, security officers, police officers, medics and whatnot, if they can leave their hospitals, whatnot. Under that context, people who have some other durura, they can do other time in a combined manner. But this doesn't apply to us. There's some difference of opinion on that. Now, walking is sunnah, but the first day you can take a mount, but which is not doable for you anyway. Sunnah, the sequence is you have to do stoning, then the sacrifice, then exit the first ihram. After the first ihram, everything is halal, changing clothing. Everything halal except marital relations. Except marital relations, which is not doable to this time anyway. Having said that, this could be done out of order also, right? But we should try to follow that, because system should be designed to do that. Please note, after only the tawaf al-ifadah, only after that, the complete exit is done. Then you can do whatever you have to do as you can do today. After completing the ifadah. Okay. Okay, this is the text presented by Shaykh Al-Bani rahimahullah. Other Aimma also. Not everybody you referred it for their opinions. If somebody can complete by the night of the 10th, that means after the Maghrib or the day of Hajj al-Akbar, they couldn't finish it, then they change back to their clothing. The restrictions prior to first exit remains. Right? So you should try to do that. And if you can, all you have to change your clothes, finish this, and it's no big deal. Maybe 3-4 hours extra, that's basically it. Okay, I'm going to skip that because we don't have much time. Sacrifice. Now, one of the things I want to talk about sacrifice, the lessons out of it. You're not doing sacrifice by your own hand, so it doesn't matter. But what you cut the meat, Allah doesn't take it from you, does it? No. Allah doesn't take the blood, neither the skin. He doesn't take it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the ajr for? You eating your food, you enjoying doing barbecue. Most cases you don't do that in Mecca, you don't do that. But normally speaking, sacrifice, Allah doesn't get anything out of it. So why you get ajr for it? It is the heart. Here is the point. Is my mind focused in Hajj? Is this a station of taqwa? A taqwa hahuna is here. And taqwa is manifested by respecting the symbol of Allah. وَمَنْ يُعَذِّمْ شَائِرِ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Respecting Allah's symbols and signs is a manifestation of taqwa. Right? Is in Hajj only and other times. Imagine these are symbols of Allah. Now please note this. Please pay attention to this. These are the symbols of Allah. These are not the hudud of Allah. Here's the difference. Hududs are the limitations, rules and regulations. If you respect this, the symbols of Allah, how come Allah says, Tilka hudud Allah? These are the boundaries of Allah. And do not cross them. Will you not respect the boundaries of Allah then? If you respect this ritualistic aspect of it, the real aspect of the religion, you won't follow them? Subhanallah. This is a problem. You do ritual of slaughtering, you don't even eat the meat, it's fine with you. But same person don't follow the direct command of Allah, only the rituals. By the way, Islamic rituals have social impact also. Islamic activities have social impact. This deen came to guide humanity, bring justice to the society. It is more than rituals. I have to talk about this another day. Okay, there is some du'as you can make, but you won't be there to do it anyway, so bypass that. Shaving here. Tawaf al-ifadah does not involve ramal and ittibah. It doesn't. It is for qudum and umrah only. So you don't have to expose your shoulder. Right? But if somebody does it, don't know it, you're not committing haram, that's fine. But it's not sunnah to do it. So you're doing something on your own. So after that, people who are doing tamattu only, Then you have to do, after the 7th tawaf, as you saw before, then you have to do sa'i 7 times. And people who do Quran, if you did the sa'i in advance, you don't have to do it. People in ifrad, if sa'i is done in advance, they don't have to do later. And this is the only cases sa'i could be done out of sequence. For the Hajj purpose, when Umrah has to be in sequence. Again, this also have difference of opinion. I don't want to go find details. There's no point going into details now. People who are sick and tired and handicapped and whatnot, they can leave Muzdalifah early, do the Jamarat and do the Tawaf as early as you can, because the objective, because again I said at the beginning of the discussion, Sharia has maqasid, has objectives. Like as I explained that before, red light is a light, but it is an objective behind it. Red and blue doesn't mean anything. It means stopping the traffic when there is a hazard there. There's a possible hazard, right? To save the people from causing accident, disasters. There is a reason behind the red light. Objective, red light is like the manasik, right? Like a ritual. But the maqasid behind it, the objectives, the goals is something else. The goal is to make ease. وَمَا عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. So if older people, sick people can have some difficulties, they can leave Muzdalifah early, do the jamarat and shave and cut, what do you call this? Sacrifice and all this. Out of order is fine also. Prophet said, La haraj is okay. Then you go, finish the ifadah and come, easy. Then you can sit in a tent or whatnot. Fine. Did I say something? Okay. This is also one of the requirements for tawaf is purity. For women, tawaf al-ifadah is required that they have to wait until pure state. Now, if somebody is leaving immediately for some reason and cannot come back, doesn't have money to come back again, or whatever reason, this is the last time you can come, bottom line, then they can continue with proper protection, so don't drop any najas in the masjid. Right? This is an ijtihad of the ulama. This is no direct text in there. Again, this goes, again, we talk about for maqasid of Sharia. When the difficulty comes, ease is facilitated in this religion, as we talked about at the beginning of it. So you can read through it. So stoning is done. And the second day is 11th to the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. You should try to do the stoning after the midday, which is unlike the previous days. Now, some of the people of knowledge says, based on the circumstances, if something is very difficult, somebody can do at night. If difficulty comes, people can do at night. And until even next morning, right? So we shouldn't do that unless there's a desperate reason to do that. And in this case, I think you go as a group, you'll be following the sunnah part of it. And if somebody wants, which is unlikely, you can go for Mina nights, you can go do tawaf in Mecca. I think you can be able to do that. Okay, but you're going to stay, there's no point talking about it. This is an extreme scenario, this is not going to apply to you. But for some reason you couldn't do stoning the first day, second day, third day, whatever, you couldn't do it. 2 days you can pack it up together. Yes, you can delay it. But you cannot delay when the Ayyam al-Tashriq ends. And the 13th day ends, then become the 14th day, 14th night. If that is too late, then you can do that. You already lost it, the Jamarat part of it. One of the obligations you lost. Okay, evidence is not needed. 13th is optional. Farewell Tawaf, this is wajib. This is the last thing people do, not before 3 days you leave. For example, your flight is 5 p.m., the bus picks you up at 10 a.m., you go, 8 o'clock, or depends how many people there. You finish the whole thing up before 9 a.m., so you have 1 hour extra in your hand to pack up and leave. So do ahead of time. But you cannot do 3 days ahead of time. Idea is this is the last thing you do. For people who don't live in Mecca, you're not Meccans, I know, so it applies to you. Before you leave, you do that, right? And there is some exceptions and concession for people who have to leave. This doesn't apply to you. The person have to leave, had delayed Tawaf This is for the men only. Women who have some issues, monthly issues, and their flight, they have to catch the flight, they can leave, they have excuse from that, no penalty required for that, right? But that's what else. Okay, and the two, you can take Zamzam home. This is good, nothing wrong with that. Rasulullah used to ask people to bring Zamzam to Medina. And okay, I have to stop it because of the time. But quickly, greeting other people. Hajj al-Mabrur, I mean, this is not, there's no text for it as far as I read. There's no text for it. There's weak ones. But the point is, you can greet somebody coming from the Hajj, like regular da'a, like people in the Eid, Istaqballah minna minkum, salih al-amal, things like that. You can say in general, but you don't have to. If somebody says that, thinking this is sunnah, then you can say this is not sunnah. If somebody does that, it's just a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. And Allah is the best one. Proxy Hajj, another time we'll talk. Okay. Visiting Medina is not part of the Hajj. Visiting Medina is not part of the Hajj. It is not part of the Hajj. If somebody go there, there's hasanat in there. You get hasanat, 1K, 1,000 times prayer. But Kaaba has way more than that, right? So I try to stay more here than there if I can, right? You can make salah in the house of Rasulullah, not house, in the masjid of Rasulullah, and you make salah, assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, so on and so forth, salam. Then you can move to the right, Abu Bakr, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. They're all of them there, both of them. You can give them salam there. Now, women should visit the grave or not. You know, these are issues of fiqh. There is difference of opinion there, but there is surely hadith saying Allah's curse upon them. But there is another hadith also towards the end of life of Rasulullah where he said, I used to prevent you from going to the grave, now I encourage you, but that reminds you about akhirah. What is the objective? What is the maqsad? Akhirah. Everything is about akhirah, right? And we're talking about dunya. Allah said, إِنَّمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا مَتَاعٌ إِنَّ الْآخِرَةَ هِيَ دَارُ الْقَرَارِ. Life of this world, nothing but a temporary possession. Temporary, very short. And your akhirah is your final abode. So you have to understand this, so everything leads to akhirah, inshallah. Okay, there is a lot of what-ifs. I don't have time for it. And, you know, we can ask questions, we can answer. But Dr. Tahir Hafizullah, he will be there with you. So, I'll be there. So, you can ask him and verify it. But if you follow the sunnah, what-ifs are complex legal discussions. I don't think it's going to come to you. Whatever it comes for, try to follow it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alam. Whatever said, at the end of the slide, there's things I just want to give a disclaimer to it. A disclaimer to it, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect. Therefore, this presentation, because I did not get a chance to see spelling errors in there, let alone anything else. Right? Ayat numbers are right or not, I did not check it. So, but in general, this is the message, and Allah knows the best. So, any matters of fiqh, there's always differences, then only Allah knows what was the intention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deriving this rule. To conclude the matter, we look at fiqh not only based on text, based on the maqasid of it. Intention of the lawgiver, legislator, why he intended that. Based on that, many texts is taken in different way. And I can't go in details, even simple things are derived a different way because there's a method involved in deriving legal rulings and Islamic laws. It is not only opening the hadith and reading from the book. It doesn't work like that and leads to misguidance. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the right path. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.